All right. Welcome to the Tricer podcast. One more episode. This episode we have a special guest, Father Stephen Gadberry from Arkansas. He is a Catholic priest who is also a big game hunter. I'm so excited to have you on and just talk to you and just have another man of God on the podcast and just hear about your life and how you got into hunting. So tell me
Hey,
about
Drew.
you.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. It's always cool to connect with other guys who love the Lord and love God's creation and hunting is just something that it's a passion of mine that's brought me closer to the Lord and helps me. It's been a really cool avenue for meeting other people that then allows me to bring them to the Lord. So it's just it's so cool. So I look forward to talking a little bit about that.
Yeah, there is so much that like connects God to hunting and God to the outdoors. And I find it's a great tool for me to get to talk to people. I think it's a
Hmm.
great tool for me with my sons. I have 5 children. My older boys both hunt. Like having them in the truck with me for 8 hours driving to another state, or even 1 hour in the morning driving to the local mountains. Just getting to talk to them, be with them. Right? There's
Hmm.
something about it that is just primal, and I feel like we were meant to do it. Right?
Yeah.
I love. I mean, and then on a whole nother level, when you get to experience the suck with someone and experience this like miserable thing out there and be together, just something that just bonds men together, right? Sitting
Mm.
around a fire, telling hunting stories. I was reading John 21 yesterday. I was thinking about you. I just finished up John for like the umpteenth time. I read John probably 4 or 5 times a year. And in John 21, the disciples are out on the boat, and they've now Jesus is you know risen again, but he's they're going back to normal life and they're going back to fishing. They're out in the ocean. They're just like whatever. We'll just go back to fishing. And so Jesus appears and says, "Hey, boneheads, throw your net on the other side of the boat." And they can't even pull the net in. And then Peter realizes, or John says it's the Lord. And then Peter goes, gets his clothes back on because apparently he's naked on the boat fishing. And he jumps in to swim to Jesus, which is kind of funny because the boat arrives at the same time as Peter has swum, right? So he's just that excited. And by the time they get there, Jesus has a fire going, and he's got some fish on the fire already ready for him. So that
Yeah.
means the Lord had prepared fish. He had either caught some fish or had some fish, gutted the fish. I'm sure he didn't just snap his fingers and have the fish there. Um, there's something about it that he just, wanted to sit around a fire and eat something they caught, right? That
Yeah.
goes so far with my relationships. When I hunt too, I'm not only hunting with Christians at all. I mean, most of my hunting partners aren't Christians, but we're able to go and share an experience that I feel like God created for us in
Hmm.
nature, and we're able to experience the outdoors. Right? You get up on top of a mountain and you look out, and there's the clouds and the sun rising and the birds, it's dark and it's starting to get light and the birds start chirping and the squirrels start running and you start, animals start coming up. Like there's something about that is just God. Everything about it is just, you just feel
Yeah.
the presence of God and you see God in all of his creation. And I really feel like hunting is a great way to experience God
Hmm.
and to share the gospels. So, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, man. Saint Augustine refers to uh, creation and nature as a gospel. He calls it the gospel of creation. It makes so much sense that it's such a spiritually powerful time for us to be out there. It gets us back to the most primal elements of our life, of who we are, the most basic things of humanity and existence in itself, creation and everything. And it intimately connects us to the circle of life. For us to continue to live, something has to die. And
Yeah.
in a real way, where there's vegetables or fruit that we're plucking off the vine or the tree, or an animal that we're harvesting. um, and the same is true for love, brother. Like, if a real love, it's a sacrificial love, and so there's that death to self. And so it's just this element of creation and hunting. I think it really forces us to stand toe to toe with the sacrificial nature of love, and the value of life, and the cost of love. That it ain't cheap. It ain't cheap.
Yeah. So, tell me about your I guess your parish, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Yeah, so right now I'm in Little Rock, the city of Little Rock, which is right in the center of the state. I just moved here about a year ago. We've got around 9,000 people here at the church, about 90% Hispanic. We got a preschool through eighth grade, school with pre-kinder through eighth grade. Man, it's just rocking and rolling. There's a lot going on. I was ordained a priest in 2016, um, after about an 8 year program of preparation of school, 4 years in southern Louisiana with some monks, a bunch of Benedictine monks. So we just worked and prayed and studied all day. And then 4 years in Rome, Italy, which is cool. Good food, cool people, and just a lot of history. But now I'm here in Little Rock doing this, and in my free time, I love being in the woods. It's Ministry is such a busy thing of always putting stuff out, like giving to people, giving in service. It continual pouring out, and it's always loud, and there's always stuff going on. So hunting is being out in the woods is a great time just to be still and know that God is God. As the psalm says.
Yeah, I'm in ministry, nothing like you, but I mean I'm in ministry 3 days a week with Bible studies
Mm,
and youth groups and church and whatever. I'm on the board, and there's always something going on. And then I've run all these businesses. There is something to be said about going on a hunt where you have no cell phone service and you
mm,
can just be out there, not have people pulling at you. And I couldn't imagine being you with all those people underneath you. It's you. You do kind of have to. I mean, I know you give it to God, but you get to hear all the problems, and everybody's coming to you, and it's so that is a heavy load to bear. And I know you're doing it
yeah,
with God, but getting out there, I can imagine that being pretty, cathartic for you and pretty, you know, peaceful.
yeah. Oh, it's necessary. I mean, in ministry, there's a lot of great times. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's so many amazing, beautiful, grace-filled moments, but a lot of ministry is people coming up at the worst moments of their life.
Hmm.
Most people don't call the office to make an appointment with me and to bring in their whole family. You hear my dog? But they won't call an appointment to make a call the office to make an appointment with me and bring in their whole family just to say, hey, we just want to tell you life is great. Little Susie here is getting straight A's in school. Little Timmy, he's on the All-Star baseball team. He makes his bed every day. Usually they're coming in saying, hey, my marriage is falling apart, my kid's in trouble. So it's just, man, one thing after another. And yeah, getting out in the woods is a good time to just decompress.
So I don't know, like, if it's common for priests to be hunters and avid outdoorsmen, but I mean, it's so when I saw you, and I think you followed me. You liked one of my ads or something, and so I hit you up and I said, "Hey, man, I'd love to have you on. This is something. To me, it seems a little taboo. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all you guys are just killers out there, just chasing elk and doing stuff. But how did you become a hunting priest? There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not too common. There are a number of guys that I know that do it, a number of priests that do hunt, but yeah, you're right. It's not common. And So I started in 2017. That was the first time I really went hunting. I grew up on a farm in the Arkansas Delta, so I was familiar with firearms and the outdoors and hard work, familiar with all that. But we just didn't hunt. We'd go shoot turtles or snakes or birds flying by or something like that, just squirrels, just what boys typically do. Um, did that growing up, but it was in 2017 that I went hunting for the first time. A guy there at the church had some land and said, "Hey, come on out and just get you a deer." We have a ton of whitetails here in Arkansas, a ton. So he said, "Come on out." So he put me up in his little box stand with his 270, and he said, "If any of them that you want, you can take." And then, sure enough, about an hour later, a doe walks out, and I experienced just the that heartbeat going up, and then the excitement, and just boom, took it, and it was an amazing experience. And I said, "This is kind of fun. I think I may look into this." I picked up a bow, a cheap little kid's bow, just to see if I would enjoy it. So I shot a little kid's bow all summer, that following summer, and then in October of 2018, got my first buck ever, and it was my first deer with a compound bow, and I was hooked. I was
You're
hooked, and
ruined.
so yeah, it's since then I've been in over my head of with archery and rifles and all sorts of game.
So isn't shooting a bow? There's something about that that's kind of meditative too. I mean, like for me, like
Mm,
I'll have a stressful day, and I can walk outside and fling 15, 20 arrows, and it's like, man, it's just great. And that is one
yeah.
of those things too, where it is like a self-reliant thing too with archery, where it's all on you. You know, it's if you miss, it's on you. If you shoot it great, it's on you. It's just it
Yeah.
really there's something about it that I just love that really kind of disconnects me from my day. It just puts me into a focused time, and I can pray during that time. I could it's just a good time to think and meditate and get along with God.
Yeah. I mean, it requires focus and attention, but not in a. It's just such a good thing. Yeah, repetitive, and it's almost like hypnotic. Not like a weird, like a
Yeah,
weird way, but it's just like you kind of get in this little like in the zone kind of state. And that's what intimate prayer is like. When you have those intimate prayer moments with the Lord, it's that same flow state, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to call it. But like some clicks, everything's going, and it's like, whoa, wow, I'm deep in the Word with the Scripture, and then you can read it. But every now and then you'll get to some passages, and just something happens. You get in that state of just like big intimacy with the Lord. Archery is the same thing, and you can shoot arrows over and over. Bullets are kind of hard to shoot again once you shot them once. You got to reload them. But
I have a funny. This is kind of really off topic, but I have a friend from India. He's a pastor, and he comes over here and teaches my Bible study, and we support him a little bit. And he was a Hindu, and he's a rich man. He's a Hindu, and he was worshiping cobras, doing all this stuff. And he said somehow I can remember how he got the Bible. He got the Bible, and he said he read Matthew, and he rolled a joint and he smoked Matthew, and then he read Mark, he rolled it and smoked it, and then he read Luke, he rolled it and smoked it. He goes, then I got to John, and John smoked me. and
dang,
and he so he hit that state like John. He hit John, and the guy just got good and saved, and now he's got like 20 churches all over India and his providence. And
wow,
he's like, yeah, so that's where he was at. He's like, I literally smoked it. I made cigarettes with it. And then I got to John
wow,
and John smoked me. And that's
that's
always stuck with me. I've known him for about probably 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer, probably
yeah,
longer actually. That's always stuck with me. John smoked me.
oh, cool,
So another thing that's kind of cool, is you've got some grit, obviously, right? You grew up on a farm, you're
hmm
hardworking, and then you went into the military. Which
hmm
again, I don't like for some reason. I just don't. It just doesn't transcend for me. Right now, you're a hunter, so and then you're running this giant, this giant 9,000 person parish. I think that has a lot to do with your grit and your hard work ethic. And how does that transcend to you from being from a hunter to being a father? Like, how does that?
man, yeah. So just, I mean, as you know, as a father yourself, as a dad yourself, I don't have any biological children. I got a ton of kids here at the school and the family and all the members of the church. The majority of life is you just got to show up and keep punching the clock. I mean, things don't happen if you don't show up. So you just keep showing up and hunting, of course, pulls that out. I love working out. I love fitness, and so that's another way of kind of testing my limits. But with with ministry, it's cool. I've reflected a lot on this before. You don't finish it. You never get it done. As men, we like to start mowing the yard and get the yard mowed. We like to build stuff and like we get it done. But ministry is tough because it doesn't finish. You don't get it done. So it's not so much a matter of getting these tasks done, but rather participating in this big story of salvation, right? Getting it, jumping into this thing with the Lord and participating with Him. And man, it's a grind sometimes. But it's when you've been grinding for so long and then just so beat down and worn out that like there's an aspect of surrender that comes about, and then the Lord can really work. He's like, okay, are you done trying to fix all this? Now let me in and let me do it. And so he comes in, but yeah, it's a grind.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation recently with a guy who goes to my Bible study, and he's got good and saved about a year ago, and he's just struggling with some stuff. And I was talking to him about sanctification. And I said,
hmm
well, you get saved. It isn't like you get saved and it's over. It's just starting. It never ends.
Hmm.
Sanctification is the process of growing more and more like Christ, and you never can be Christ. You're going to do that until you die. You're going to be being
Right.
sanctified and going through things and doing things. And I think that is true too. What you're saying about you just show up, and so much of that transcends into hunting as well. Like
Mm.
a lot of times, your success in hunting isn't so much the skill. There's skills part of it. A lot of it is just you not being willing to quit, right?
Yeah.
You not going back to the tent to or the cot to lay down at lunchtime, but you staying out at 1 o'clock, and all of a sudden a bull stands up, or
Hmm.
no, or a deer stands up, and you kill that deer because you
Yeah.
didn't quit, and that really does transcend into everything from hunting to life to business. It's when you get kicked in the teeth and you get back up and keep going is when you really
Yeah.
see success in ministry and business in hunting. But it's when
Hmm.
you get when things are going all wrong and the weather's bad and you decide to pack up and go home.
Yeah.
You know, I've never stayed for the whole length of a hunt and regretted it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I have left a day or two early and regretted it
Yep.
because it's like, man, if I would once you leave, you're not getting that tag back. Right?
Mm-mm.
You have that tag, and if you quit 2 days early because you're just beat up and tired and you're not seeing anything, man,
Hmm.
you can't get those back. I just want to stay the whole time and to give it everything I had in me to make sure I'm successful. I tell people all the time when they ask me like, "How are you successful in business or these things or ministries?" And I just say, "I'm too dumb to quit."
Yeah.
I think God really just gave me something where it's just like He just made me too stupid to quit. I don't know. I just go.
Yeah. And through those things you keep getting punched in the teeth and getting knocked down. But I mean, think of a bad shot that you've made. I've had my fair share. And then I go home at night. I'm thinking, gosh, did I hit that deer at night? I couldn't find blood, or you lose a blood trail, and you just go through this over and over and over and over in your head, and you analyze it and pick everything apart, and you go back to the drawing board. You know, like it's almost when things go wrong and you stop and wrestle with it and analyze it and grow from it that you become a better hunter, much more than when everything goes perfect. You walk out in the first 20 minutes, an animal comes, double lung, and then it's in the back of your truck. Like,
Yeah,
well, I mean, that's pretty sweet. Don't get me wrong, but you didn't grow much in that. You were
yeah,
really blessed in that. But when you struggle through a hunt and or bad shot, whatever it is, and you learn, back to the archery thing. That's I mean the the words in Scripture in the Old Testament, Greek, in the Hebrew in the Old Testament, also in the Greek and the New, both of the words for sin, you may know this, it's called missing the mark. Chata, the word in Hebrew is the word chata, and it means to miss the marks, to sin, and it's the exact same word that they used for like in hunting. If you miss your bullseye, you miss your archery target, you miss your animal, you chata, you miss the mark. And if you're zeroing in your gun, zeroing in your sighting in your bow, you have to be willing to shoot, miss the bullseye, like knowing that you're dialing it in. I'm going to miss the bullseye, but I got to see if I'm on paper. You take it, you evaluate where it hit, how far off, make an adjustment, and you shoot again. And you just inch it closer to the bullseye. So for that thing of sanctification, and that's what it is. It's being willing to knock another arrow, adjust your sight, take another shot, and just keep getting to the bullseye, keep getting to the center, keep getting to Christ.
yeah. That's awesome. That's really good. Um, so I want to hear some of your hunting stories. You're getting out west a little bit now too, right? You're not just out in Arkansas hunting whitetails. I see you're like wearing
Yeah,
kuyu and you're coming out west now, and you've really got the bug. So
yeah,
what do
man.
you?
A little bit of everything, man. So a few years ago, went on a elk hunt out there, which was absolutely amazing, and I've gone back every fall since with some friends. Um, I got one elk last year on a big ranch out there, but still haven't gotten a public land elk. So that's what I'm really wanting to grind through, and that's tough, man. Elk, black bear, got an antelope a few years ago in New Mexico. A friend out there has a big ranch, and I was just able to get one of their landowner tags. They're in northeast New Mexico, and I'm still new to hunting, so I go out there just smoke a booner of an antelope, and it was only after the fact that realized that man, that's like a 25 point unit, like to
Oh
get them
wow,
tags is just crazy, and so just just smoked a sweet antelope. Ton of whitetail here in Arkansas. Love that. Of course, waterfowl. But I love the big game. Um, and yeah, so that just it's just fun, man. Chasing them all. I've got a hunt planned for October in Idaho, and that'll be the last western hunt for this season.
What tag is that?
It's really cool. It's an elk tag, but the way that this particular tag works is I can use it for an elk, or I could use it for a bear, wolf,
Or do
or a mountain lion. So if any of
okay.
those things come, I can punch the tag on any of those. So basically, an elk or any lesser or lower price tag
You could use
underneath.
it for a mule deer as well, right?
I
That tag.
don't know for a mule deer. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I had
it's
a
up in
hunt
the
up there.
panhandle.
Okay. Yeah, we had a hunt up there, and we flew in, and we got dropped off, and we spent 8 days back there, and it changed my life. Like it just
Mm,
ruined me. All I want to do is go on these big adventures now, and just
gosh, yeah.
it was so neat. We ended up. I didn't even kill anything. My buddy killed a bull. We ended up getting 2 deer down as well. There was four of
Cool.
us, and it was just incredible, man. That's God's country up there.
If it wasn't so cold, man, I'd seriously consider moving out west. I got thin blood, man. And one of the coolest hunts actually happened 2 days ago in southern Louisiana. I went on my first gator hunt, and man,
Oh
that
wow!
is wild. It's wild. It's such a
But
social thing. You're talking and everything, just hanging out. And we were running ditches, is what we were at a big crawfish farm. And they're just gators all over the place. You run some set hooks, and then you go back through and check your lines, and then pull one up, and if there's one on there, you take it. And we got two 7 footers and 11 footer, and I got mine with a recurve, which was really a cool experience. And those things, they got two speeds. It's just like almost asleep in the water or going after your neck. And when they flip that switch, they just go. They are mad at the world. Them gators. But yeah, I got mine with that recurve, but another buddy got his with a compound. That 11 footer was the last one we got, and last hook we checked. Even we pulled up and big old water hole. It was muddy. We knew there was one on there. We walked up there. It was four of us, two guys from Louisiana and a couple of us from Arkansas. And my buddy pulls on the line, and just you can see his face change. He said, "Y'all get ready, it's a big one." So we knock arrows, and he's pulling up, and this was like a movie because it was like looked like chocolate milk or coffee with milk in it, and you just see this dark shadow like getting darker and darker as the head's coming up to the top of the water, and then that sucker's head breaks the water, and them eyes are just looking at us, and she is ticked. And as soon as we saw that, buddy with the compound released his arrow, just went up, glanced the skull. It just didn't do anything. I didn't even take a shot because it's like I'm not going to mess with it. And we immediately pulled out the firearms and had took care of her. But it was about 6 feet in front of us, right down this deep steep bank into the ditch. So she's down. She's not moving. So I climbed down there with a big rope to tie up to her, and I bear hug her to get under her armpits and everything. And I got it wrapped around my arm, and I'm standing on the other ropes that the bait hook was set on. And as soon as I start to tighten it down, she starts doing that death roll thing. And boy, I was out of that ditch like a cartoon, man. Tom and Jerry. I came running out, but
So
we
you
got the
shot
last.
her. You shot her, and she was still alive.
Yeah, yeah. So these gators,
Oh.
you know, something will come up to the water to drink, and they'll just bite onto whatever they can—a leg, a nose, a tail, and just start spinning. And that kind of they pull the animal in the water, drown it, and they eat it. So they'll do that whenever they're killing something, and also whenever they die, all their muscle spasms it just does that same thing.
Oh.
And so we got this 600-pound gator, ropes all around her, and I'm tangled up in these ropes. And she could have twisted me up like spaghetti, but I'm luckily got my hand and foot out of it. So man, yeah, it got intense for a second.
Oh, I bet they were laughing pretty hard.
Oh gosh, them Cajun boys are so fun, man. They
Really.
are fun people. Yeah, yeah. So that was
Yeah,
probably it just a fun hunt. Yeah.
there is something to said about like there's experiences you get hunting like that, this near death experience with the gator
Yeah.
that and I think only hunters really understand it, right? Some of these miserable hike outs we do, or these
Mm.
you get stuck in a storm, or you're climbing on the side of a shale face, and one wrong step you're going to roll to your death. There's
Mm-hmm.
something about it that is just primal, right? Like even in the Bible, it talks about David's mighty men like climbing down into the ditch and killing a lion, like
Yeah.
just for the fun of it. Like there's
Yeah.
something about it that just is it's manly and meant to be. So it's just
Yeah. Who was it in the Old Testament? I don't remember. Joshua. I could be totally wrong. I don't remember who it was. One of them, the boys were taunting him and making fun of him. And he said, basically said like I'm gonna pray down some bears on you, and
oh
he
yeah
prayed
yeah
to
yeah
God
yeah.
and sent the bears. But, yeah, man, those tough hunts though really forge friendships and deepen our identity and who we are as people.
Hmm.
Some of the best memories I have um, are in ministry through terrible times, like, but being with people through those tough times, like at the foot of the cross, is what it is. And the same thing, some of the best memories I have been just going through the hardest grinds with some of my best friends in the woods. We were hunting
Yeah.
elk a few years ago. It was middle of September. We woke up, it's pretty chilly in the mornings, high 30s or so, early September. So by the time sun come up and 10 o'clock or so rolled around, it was in the mid 60s, and then a storm cloud comes in, and by noon it's snowing, and
Oh
by
man.
the time the sun goes down, there's 10 inches of snow, and we had about a 3 mile hike back out of it through all that snow, and it was just bizarre, and it was terrible, but it was some fun memories on that one too.
Yeah, I love type 2 fun. It's definitely takes a different breed of person, right? Like my hunting partners, they have to enjoy type 2 fun. Like there's a lot of people who want me to take them hunting,
Hmm.
but I won't take them hunting because they just want me to take them to kill something.
Yeah,
What I look for in a hunting partner is somebody that when that snowstorm comes in, they just deal with it and enjoy
yeah,
it. And or when it's raining, they're still out there hunting with me in the rain, looking for those elk or looking for those deer. It's a different breed of person that goes out and hikes through 3 miles of snow and says that was a fun experience.
yeah. But one of my good buddies, hunting buddies, he's got a bison farm. His little slogan is "Into the Storm," and yeah, that's kind of what it's like. Just head down into the storm.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think that kind of brings us to an end there. What else you got for us? Anything you want to leave us with?
Man, just keep showing up is one thing I would say. Just I'd share that with everybody. Last thing would, you know, and whatever you show up to, give it everything you got. Saint Ignatius of Loyola was saying he's the one that founded the Jesuits, a religious order, would focus on preaching and teaching just all over the world. But Ignatius of Loyola, for his brothers in this group that he had this phrase that he would tell them. It was "Agi quod agis." It's said in one part of the movie Tombstone, but the phrase is "Agi quod agis." It means literally do what you're doing, but the sense of the phrase is be all in. Whatever you're doing, do it 100%, and that's what I would tell people. So if you're going to go hunting, give it everything you've got, and that's going to give glory to God. If you do arts and crafts at home, give it everything you've got. If you're going to work or you got your first kid and you're trying to figure it all out, you're not sleeping because your baby's up all night. Well, give it everything you got, and just there's a lot of grace in that. If people that are all in, people that are give it their whole heart, man, God can do some great things with that. So keep showing up and be all in and just trust that the Lord does so much with that. Yeah.
That is awesome, man. Let's have you wrap us up with a prayer. You know how to pray? You pray a
Yeah,
lot?
man, I saw it on YouTube. Saw it on YouTube
All
once.
right. All right. Let's
Yeah.
wrap us up, Father. Thank you.
Cool. Cool. God of mercy and love, we just give you thanks for this day and the gift of life. We give you thanks for loving us into existence and allowing us to love you through creation. Just through anyone that listens to this podcast now or tomorrow or 20 years from now, or anybody that is connected to it in any way, just fill them with your love and your grace, and give them a deeper appreciation for the gospel of creation. Let's pray that you bless Drew and his family, so that he can continue to be a conduit of your love. Be with me and my ministry as well. And above all, let us do all things for your glory. Amen.
Amen.